Hello and welcome to Stahls TV. I'm Bob Robinson and I am here to spend some time with you about how to print more with the heat press. I would like to, before we get too far along, to make sure that everyone can see and hear me. So if you could respond and say yes or no, yes I can see you but I can't hear you, etc., in your chat box below. Some sort of confirmation. Is anybody out there? Everybody can hear me, yay! And you can also hear my air compressor in the background. Today with us, facilitating and taking your questions, will be Jody Edgar. As always, master producer, cameraman extraordinaire, Joe Kaczynski, will be doing all the hard stuff behind the scenes. I got the easy part, which is just talking till I run out of words today. It's going to be an exciting time. Exciting because I'm going to be discovering almost as much as you are, because I have a whole bunch of things to press and it's confusing as heck. So we're going to work right through it together, just like the same thought process you would do when you come across a particular item to heat press. We're going to facilitate it with all the different types of heat presses and platens that we have. Before we get too far along, I'm going to turn it over to Jody, who is going to take care of the poll questions. We have about 4 questions we'd like you to answer. Answer honestly and as best you can.
Okay, the first question, do you currently own a heat press? 94% yes, 6% no. Okay, which heat press do you currently own? We have 27% owning a auto-clam, 13% owning a fusion, 13% own a max, 7% own the air fusion, and 40% is other. And then one more. Okay, this was about which market would you like to reach. We have 53% corporations and small businesses, 53% dance and fitness, 33% retail, 27% safety reflective apparel, and 73% sports and spirit wear.
Okay, that was a whole lot of fun, wasn't it? From what we see, most of you have a heat press. A few of you are just trying to figure out what this is all about, and welcome to our industry. Looking at the different types of presses, just at least from the Hottronics line, from what we can offer you, you've got the clam as number 1 because it is kind of old school, not old school, but the most familiar to most folks. And then of course the fusion at 13 and max at 13. 7 with the air fusion, awesome. And then 40% other. That means you probably bought someone else's heat press, which is, we're not going to judge you on that, but we're going to at least show you today a lot of the different things that we can do with the heat press offerings that Stahls has to offer. Before we get too far in all the variety of items and the different types of apparel and accessories that you can do with the heat press and what it takes to get there, we should probably briefly talk about the importance, the least important features of a heat press, because producing more at the heat press, it doesn't matter what all attachments you have and what type of special effects you're going to place on it. If you don't have a quality heat press that manages the big 3 efficiently, then you're going to be in trouble. It's just not going to, it's just not going to work for you. So the 3 most important characteristics of a heat press, of course, are time, temperature, and pressure. You need a model that will manage those digitally accurately. So we need to have even, consistent temperature. When I say even temperature, it's not just, I can see that I'm going to be, digitally is great, but you can see that I'm at 320 degrees, and I can watch it fluctuate, it's good. But if it's not the same throughout the platen, for example, this is your lower heat platen, continuous elements back and forth through here, giving sure that you have even heat all over. So I've had some folks actually, at the last trade show just came back from explaining that same process. The problem, they actually had some cold spots. The same place in design, it just wasn't sticking right there. It was a problem with their heat press. It wasn't the Stahls, of course, but there was a problem there as far as the heating element. Of course, that's the top element. I'm showing you the bottom here, but it's the same principle. The top puts the heat down. Of course, and in time, that's very simple to manage, but having multiple timers, you don't have the little timer late for the ding. Sometimes it auto releases. Those are great features to have. And lastly, pressure. And pressure is a very big deal. We've kind of avoided managing it digitally for a few years, or at least didn't address it. We didn't avoid it, we just didn't address it. But now we do have live pressure readouts. So if your application instructions, or sometimes we refer to as a recipe, say 320 for 10 to 15 seconds using a medium pressure, it's been very subjective to date as to how much. Well, today with the digital pressure readout, you will see a digital display of 1 through 9. So a medium pressure would be like a 4, 5, or 6. 1, 2, 3 being light pressure, and then a 7, 8, 9 being a firm. You know, it used to be that I would say, well, 2 fingers is medium pressure, a full hand is a pressure, and 1 finger is light pressure. It depends on, you know, if you're working out or whether you're frail. This all can be very subjective. So now we've got it. We've got all 3 components managed digitally and accurately. Now we see what else can we do. Well, when someone says heat press, for years heat transfers, we think of the t-shirt shops on the beach where you're just putting on a pre-made transfer onto a blank shirt, pressing it for a few seconds, picking it up, peeling it off, and go. That is as easy as it gets, and it's still a great way to go. If I've got volume orders of 400 pieces, I'm going to go to Transfer Express and order the transfers ready to go in lieu of screen printing, because I'm not committing a transfer to the shirt until the point of sale. I'm not overproducing or underproducing by size or quantity or color. And just pressing them one at a time, pulling them off, you can get 2 to 3 a minute and quickly get done. That's the easy part. So probably not demonstrate that specifically today. We are going to go into all the different types of things that you can do with the heat press, not just what to press, but how to do it. So as we go along, it's going to get a little tricky. I have a whole bunch of things behind me that I, in no necessary order, so I'm going to be discovering these as you do, looking at them, figuring out what the product is that I'm pressing. I'll be asking Jody, what is this? Because she knows everything, and then she'll help me along the lines, help me remember what the time and temperatures will be. But pretty much what you would do if a customer comes in and says, I would like this done. So I'm going to switch over to Joe so he can kind of follow me around, because I'm going to be all over the place. And we're in. All right, so the very first item in our bag of tricks here today. Oh, before I go too much further, I've said that probably about 5 times. Any questions are welcomed, and we will deal with them as they come in. Hopefully I can answer all of them. If not, we'll find somebody smarter to figure them out for you later. But feel free to type in through the chat box any questions that you have as we're doing things or after the fact. We will deal with everyone as best as possible. All right, so starting off, I have probably one of the more difficult things. Now this is a performance wear. This is 100% polyester stretch performance wear fabric. Very popular, what everybody seems to be wanting these days. Not that the 100% cotton tee has gone away, but this seems to be, I don't say necessarily the standard or the norm, but it sure is very popular. So definitely something we wanted to deal with. The problem with polyester, especially the performance wear, the dry fit, the stretch fabric, the performance wear, it tends to scorch. So what we need is something that's going to apply at a very low temperature. Good news is, with this particular case, what we have here is in our Tech line. This is our Super Tech matte clear, typically designed to be printed on. But what we've found is if we just cut it out alone and just have that clear media on top of a colored shirt, you get a kind of an embossed or etched type of tone-on-tone type of look that's pretty cool. It's not the brilliant pop-out type of crazy off-the-charts vivid color, but it gives you a nice subtle effect. So we're going to start. I'm working with the Air Fusion right now. The Air Fusion, I've got it already set at 285 degrees, which is a very nice low temperature. As per norm, I'm going to thread the shirt on. I like threadability. This helps with that whole pressure issue. We're talking about pressure. There could be a lot of things in the way. That's the back of the shirt, so I'm going to flip that one around. Did you ever make that mistake? Right. I don't believe you. I slide it all the way on so that I'm hitting the shoulders. This helps me and center it as best as possible. Then I pull it back. That's going to help me keep it even because it kind of centered it or adjusted itself by hitting both of the shoulders. And I always keep the collar just off of the platen. This way, if I know I'm measuring down so many inches from the collar, I'm always going off of the edge of the platen. This is a little bit bigger design, so we're going to keep it up a little bit higher. First thing we're going to do is do a pre-press. I probably should throw a cover sheet in there, because I never know what may have happened before I got here. I'll be able to slide that under here. You never know if there's anything on top of that heat press, because even though the heat press has a Teflon coating, it still can stay on there. It just doesn't stick in indefinitely. So I'm going to do a 5-second pre-press at 285. Notice the pressure on this is only about 35 psi. I do need a firmer pressure for this this application, but I believe that I've got the second pressure to be set up to be much firmer, which automatically adjusted. So I'm going to line that up as best as possible as far as straight. I always say that's optional, usually in joke, but your customer doesn't think it's a joke. Now what I also like to do, I'm going to slide past Joe here a little bit and grab the, this is a flex application pad. It's just a thin silicone rubber. What this does is it avoids scorching. It allows the heat to evenly distribute throughout the into the shirt, but it helps things not to scorch. So you're trying to protect that, keeps the heat directly from hitting it. Now what I will do is normally this applies at 5 seconds, and we'll do that here for the first one. Actually, I better not. Let me do this. Jody's already yelling at me. When I go to the when I use the flex pad, I need to practically double my time, because it's, even though it transmits heat, it takes a while for that heat to get through. So I'm going to now 60 psi 10 seconds instead of the 5. This is a 2-step application. I think I can peel that hot, or I could peel it cold. I think it's actually cold. So we're going to let that cool down just a little bit, fluff it a little. Again, having the application instructions, I can't remember them all. That's why it's important to have your catalog or the application instruction sheet nearby. Let's see if this is remotely ready. I think we're ready to peel. It's actually more of a warm peel, but we say cold just to be careful. Now that's not actually a colored design that's there. That is a clear material that actually kind of changed the color. It took on the color of the shirt, but in a little bit lighter format. Still not done. We're going to cover and press for the second application. No scorch on that dark performance tee. Bring it back home. Those of you who can't see, there's a simple foot pedal on the bottom. I did set this one for 10 seconds. I just forgot to do it for my first one. Still at 59, 60 psi. We don't have house air here, so what you hear in the background, if you can pick up on that, is just our air compressor. And there you go. Awesome look for performance worth, great stretch and rebound, nice tone on tone type of subtle type of look. I don't need to draw a lot of attention. I just like people to think I'm cool. All right, let's set that off to the side. If any other questions as we go, feel free to spout them out. What's next in our bag of tricks? I have no idea. We're going to bring it out. Oh, this is going to be fun. I am looking at designs already placed where it should go. Set that off to the side. All right. This is the Oversized billboard, pennant, there are a whole bunch of different trade names, people doing this type of shirt, but this is more of a billboard advertising type of oversized shirt that you see at the beach, very popular with in the college market. We're going to put an oversized print on this, as you may have seen as the design was laying on top of there. It won't fit on the heat press all at one time, so now I'm going to slide over to this to the standard fusion, because I've got it set at 320 degrees, which is what we like for our glitter flake, which is what we're applying to this. Got to do that back first because it's a little trickier. If I can't hit that pocket design, then I need to quit. We'll do a quick preheat. Why do we preheat? I wish I could hear you right now. But one, it removes the wrinkles, but two, it also removes the moisture. That's a lot of pressure. Let me back that one down. When I open this up, if I see any moisture, then I'll hit it again. If I see steam puff up, I'll hit it again, because we just want to keep the moisture out of there. You see this red actually discolored. Do not worry. That's what happens with red. It turns a little bit darker. It will go away for the most part once it cools, or some of the moisture content actually gets back into the shirt. So starting with our design, again, this thing is huge, so it's going to go. It doesn't fit on my heat press. So I need to center this on the shirt. Well, I've already got my shirt fairly centered on the heat press. We're going to change that here in a little bit. To find the actual center of the design, I'm going to simply fold it in half, line up. The good news is I had A on either end of this design, so I can pretty much overlap those entirely. Give myself just a little crease here so I can kind of know where the center of the design is, which is right to the edge of that H. So now I can put that on the center of my shirt, pick up the sleeves, make sure that everything's going to align, do my best to keep it straight. Good news is I have a nice cowl seam here where I can actually measure the distance on this straight line to straight line. It helps me line it up, but also gives me away if I'm crooked. So it's good and bad news all at once. So I've got the design. This is a nice tacky adhesive. That's the carrier of this particular glitter flake. I'm going to slide this off to the side just a little bit just to make sure that my design is being hit properly. Don't worry about where you're going to hit another section at the same, over again. Hit this one twice. It's a very forgiving material. It will not hurt. One other thing that you may be looking at, we're always talking about keeping all the seams off of the heat press. Make sure you're going to affect the pressure. I do have a small seam here, but I'm making the judgment call that I think I'm going to be okay here because it's not that pronounced, and there's a little bit of give in this rubber pad, so it could bury itself in there. Probably will do just fine, but what I will do is push that pressure up a little bit just to make sure. So I cranked it down pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and cover it because they tell me to. All right, we're locking that down. My pressure jumped up to a 6. I want a little bit more just because of that seam. It's little, I may have overloaded it. And we're good. I'm about a 7. That's a nice on the low end of a high pressure. Now I'm just going to slide this over and catch the other side. Make sure that I've got everything covered that hasn't been hit yet. Notice this section will be hit a second time. Again, not an issue. Now that's set for 4 seconds because that was our preheat time. We can do one of two things. I can pick it up and lay it back down, which I'll do because that beep is annoying, or you can just tough it out through the beep and deal with the sound. One thing I like about this glitter flake is it does peel hot, so I can just peel it right off as soon as we're done. Move the cover sheet off to the side, and I can peel this right off. Awesome look. Oversized. This drapes down clear over the shoulders. It looks great. This is more of a sorority type of shirt we're seeing here. We do have a design to go on the front of this. This is actually a very popular fashion trend these days, is to have that contrasting pocket. Sometimes we just print the pocket alone as a decoration, but they've got here, they've already sewn it on, so we've got an actual pocket. So we're going to accentuate that because these folks seem to be in the choir. Put the lyre there. Center as best as possible. Again, set it 4. I tend to not do with the way this is set up. I will usually override those, and especially on a manual type of press, and just count down the pre-press for a few seconds and then lift it up, so I just keep my time for the full dwell. But I'm a control freak. And there you have it. This is a nice market to be in. Standard heat press, any standard heat press will pretty much do this, although I like the threadability factor because I don't affect the front or the back of the shirt that's already been pressed previously. But because it's a little bit higher end garment, there's a lot of money to be made here. It took the same amount of time to do this if I was doing a 50-50 t-shirt, so more money to be made on the higher end garments, especially for the sororities, some of the more trendy type of items. This is still hot. Look into this. It's a good opportunity for you. All right, we're going to set that aside and see what's next. Can't wait. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is going to be busy. More glitter flakes. So we'll be on this press. Let's take a look at the shirt. I see 3 different designs here. Obviously, that is the back, this is the front, and this must be the name that goes above or below, depending on design. But I think, let's look at the shirt. Okay, this probably isn't going to work on this particular platen. The press is fine, but because it's a smaller shirt, there's no way that I'm going to slide that on. I don't want to just lay it on there if I can avoid it, because I've got a lot of seams here with the V-neck. Even the seams of the press of the shirt itself are going to give me some issues here. Now this might be a problem. So what we're going to do is just simply change out the lower platen. But you're going to see a lot of that in this segment. One of the beauties of the Fusion is the quick change platen. I also can pull it out here so I can get at it a little bit easier because it swings or draws. Lift the 16 by 20 up. Set it aside for now. And let's go 11 by 15. I think this will do what I need. It may or may not. I think it will be fine. But I'll test it. I got more. Good news is I work for a company that makes the platens, so I have access to all of them. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. We'll be able to slide that back in. Be careful when you're doing both the swing and the draw feature. I've gotten into trouble a few times where I've had it out and forgot. You're not going to get a good even pressure if the design is out here, especially on a smaller platen. It'll be inside the heat press, but it's going to make it tilt a little bit. You always want this to be all the way back so that you're centering on the actual upper platen, hits the lower platen evenly. So what we're looking at, this is basic 100% cotton, or I assume it is. Yeah, it looks like it's 100% cotton. So I'm not going to concern myself too much with cover sheets and protective, so we're just going to give it a quick little pre-press. Now on a smaller platen, you're going to have to back your pressure down a little bit because we just increased. We're putting more pounds per square inch on a smaller device. Still a little hot. All right, that should be good. So we're working with the back first. Back number, centered and even. Name, again, still that same seam issue here. I'm not concerned. I think we're going to be fine. If it's some materials that require a very firm pressure, you may consider adding a pillow or doing these individually, maybe pulling this off so this is not there at all. But I like to see, we're going to save some time and do both designs at the same time. Keeping that good firm pressure, make sure the press is all the way back. I'm going to fix this now because it's driving me crazy. 10 seconds is good for me. That easy. So what we see here is a very undersized shirt. This looks actually could fit a maybe a 13-year-old girl. So standard platen would not do what I wanted to do without adding a bunch of pillows. Now we do have quick print perfect pads. If you don't have the lower platens, you can insert a pad inside of there. It's just a 3/8 thick silicone rubber pad that will raise up the image area and kind of do the same thing, but it's a lot more work, especially if I've got, like, 30 of these to do. Doing the front of the same shirt, same principle applies. Just pull that seam right off the edge. This is really nice because I can really, now if I make it crooked now, it's because my eye is horrible, because I've got a perfect world scenario there. Step that down. Because it's a V-neck, we'll keep this as tight as close as possible because we're much lower down on the shirt as than if we were doing a regular crew neck. I like it. Any questions so far as we go? I must be doing really well, or y'all fell asleep. And we're good to go. Front, back, complete. Higher end material, much more profit for you when you're using something other than just a standard heat transfer film. Of course, they have to want the glitter to start with, but if it's a girly type of thing, glitter is never going away, at least not for the next several years. It's been, the bling is huge. All right, moving on. What can we get into now? I see a pair of running shorts and a little, looks like a metallic, looks like a foil tech design. That, I know that applies at a lower temp, so we're going to be working with the one that's set at 285. I probably can still press that at 300 plus degrees, but not necessary. Of course, we want this to go on the front. Obviously, this platen is not going to work at all. I'm going to say probably a 6x10 will be the way to go here, so let's go ahead and take this particular platen off. And let's see what I've got. Looks like a 6x10 here. All right. Typically, on a shorts design, you're applying to the left front leg, if there is such a thing on shorts. Let's take a look at it first. The liner, of course, we want out of there. The less number of layers that we have, the better off. Holding it up, I see that center seam is actually vertical, so that will help me keep my design straight. So I can't see the whole shorts on here, so that's going to be my reference point, is that center seam. I'm going to pull it just off the press, right down the edge, so now I know that my shorts are on there straight, so if I stay perpendicular or even with the seam, I'll be good. This is that low 5 and 5, 300, as low as 280. Don't want to scorch this, so I'll probably utilize that flex pad on this one again. All right, location centered on that area, not too close to the seams. We want to stay away from them just a little bit. We want to keep it as low as possible without really encroaching. I never put anything closer than a ½ inch to any pre-printed or sewn edge. That's just a rule of thumb that I've had over the years of decorating, and some of the higher end companies require this as well. So that's just kind of a rule that I've followed over the years. No closer than a ½ inch to anything that's pre-existing on it, unless it's in the part of the design it's required. All right, changing that time again because of the flex pad. And because of that low temperature, I definitely want that extra time on there, because the possibility that it wouldn't hit the melt point of the material and would want to lift. I see I'm right on the edge because I see the design just picking up a little bit, but I'm going to be real careful and keep my, no, it's not there. Let that come down a little bit. Let it cool a little bit too for that gel to set. I probably should add a little bit more time to that because of the low temp. Had I been up to 305 or so, it probably would have been fine with the extra 5. Time equals temperature to a degree. I'm just going to hit it again. You'll have this. We're going to let it cool just a little bit. That may be part of it as well, but I think just didn't get quite enough heat to it to start with to actually get the full melt on the adhesive. We do make such a thing called a heat eraser, which will help cool this thing down. I'm taking the heat on my hand right now, which is, I'm punishing myself for being not getting it right the first time. I've had people think that heat erase would help take off this design if they put it on improperly. That's not the case. That's not what a heat eraser is for. And we're going to have a little better results this time. Knowing your product up front is important. Obviously, if you use it enough times, you'll be comfortable to know what the limitations are. Now we know that we need to give this probably a little more time, at least on the initial application, when using a flex pad. If you're not using a flex pad, forget about it. One thing about, and you notice I'm not really taking, with a lot of these designs, I'm not concerning myself with the content of the fabric. Is that nylon? Was that polyester? Was that rayon? Who knows what that was? And I am able to do that because the material we're using is actually a universal adhesive on all this print media in the Tech line of products, the Super Tech Opaque, Super Tech Subless Stop, and the Foil Tech. Universal adhesive, so it's going to adhere to any fabric. So it really kind of takes that burden away from me of worrying whether or not I've got the right material for the right job. All right, so there it is, quality application. See what else we can do. More glitter. This is like Christmas. See what I've got here. We're semi-buried. I'm going to lay it up here on this little display here so we can see what we're dealing with, make our assessment. I've got transfers everywhere. Oh, they're making it rough on me now. Now they're going to see what I'm made of. This is we've got a 2-color design of glitter and possibly reflective. Looks like reflective, or it's the silver. Fashion film metallic silver, I'm told. Okay, either way, it looks the same. But you really prefer not to apply lap material over the glitter, so we've actually cut out, as you'll see as I separate these, we've kind of cut out the areas where the top layer will go inside of. And then looks like a left chest logo for the front. All right, what are we dealing with as far as shirt or apparel? Again, some little girl's going to be very happy because we just keep giving these youth and ladies fashions. It's a big market. I can see why we'd be doing that. I think we're good with what we've got on here. I've got the 11 by 15 on. Let's do that back first. We'll leave it zipped up. That helps keeps the hoodie intact. It's not just flopping around like a blanket or something like that. So I know I'm working with a full assembled garment. Pulling it all the way down so that the corners hit, centering as best I can, utilizing the shoulder seams as the center. Sometimes these aren't as accurate as you'd like them to be, but these pretty much are for the most part. I'm going to pull that off, and I'm going to lay this down as it goes so I get a good visual. That looks like about right for this size shirt. Maybe only a couple, 2 to 3 inches down from the neck, maybe even a little higher. Now I'm going to take this top layer off after I get this kind of seated in where I want. Not a bad way to go here. Okay, although that looks silly, it's going to look great here if I hit the second layer nicely. Normal press, 320, 10 to 15. Good pressure. Putting a sweatshirt in here as opposed to a t-shirt did increase the pressure just a little bit, but it wasn't significant. I could just tack that for a few seconds. I don't think we're going to have much of an issue here because it does peel red hot. The reason we tack for a few seconds up front, it's possible that I'll be upset that I didn't do that. Because you got to line up something as detailed as this. Just tacking it for a couple seconds and then peeling it, it keeps it from distorting it all. The fabric can stretch, can heat up, it can move. Because I have to hit this pretty well. But I'm just that good, so we'll manage it. You can already see I've got a little bit of registration issue because I should have pressed that for 5 seconds or 2 seconds. But we will do our best to get it lined up. And what the effect is here is to give you like this is kind of intertwined so that you've got some of the gray showing through and not. I think I liked it better the first time I had. I should have never moved it. I'd like to do a redo on this one. Wish this were not live. I would edit tape and come back and do it right. All right, a little bit of pink shadow all the way around, and it looks good. And we're good. Now I have exposed stuff here, so I'm going to go ahead and throw a cover sheet on it real quick. Lock it down. I could have sped that up significantly, as I mentioned before, by only tacking that. And that was my first mistake, especially on a something that gives as much as a rib knit like that. It's going to give a little bit of stretch. So I've had a lot of those. That's definitely the way I would do it. And good news is we're peeling hot. And there you go, GK Dance. We've got one to do on the front. Now, I've got a big old zipper here. This will not work. This is definitely too much fabric in the way. So what I'm going to do is locate it now that I've got it here already zipped up and exactly where I want it, where I can see most of the shirt. Put Taylor the right way up. This person's upside down on its head. And locate where I want this to be. Especially with ladies and or youth, the tendency is to sometimes get them too low, and so I would usually keep this up here. So getting the old Laverne and Shirley look up here on the shoulder is not a bad. I'd rather err toward that side than getting it too far down here. All right, so that's going to be good. So that's, because it's an adhesive carrier, I'm going to pull it off. It stays where I want it, and I'm going to switch out the 11 by 15. Sure I am. Getting where I can reach it helps. And put on the 6 by 10. I'm going to steal that off of the air fusion we were just using. The good news is all of the platens nowadays for any Hotronix press fit any heat press. So I don't have to concern myself if I have the right platen for the right press. If you bought it in the last couple of years, they're all going to fit. They all have interchangeable lower platens, quick release. There's a lever on the clam style press, which we can make threadable by putting it on a caddy, and then of course the little pull knob that you see on the both the fusion models, both this one and the air fusion. Now I have no zippers, I have no seams in the way, and my design is where I want it because I pre-placed it when I could see everything. The danger of using a small platen for a small design on a big garment is, do I know if it's in the right place and straight because I can't see everything? So doing that up front, keeping it where it belongs is huge because I don't have to concern myself with, will I make it crooked? And of course we're switching platens. Now I've got to change the pressure. That's about a 3, a couple more cranks, and I'll be happy. Love the hot peel. Nothing better than a hot peel product. Just flies right off when you're done. Speeds up your production, makes it easy to use, makes it easy for that tack for the first layer. Got the front design, complementing back design. Again, more than just a t-shirt, more money in your pocket because there's a lot more overall perceived value to something like that. So you make a lot of your money on the actual resale of the garment. Even if you broke even on the decoration, you still got money to make. Hopefully you make money across the board. What else are we looking at? Oh, more fun. Another hoodie, a black hoodie, another 2-color glitter. This time it's glitter and glitter. Got the outline. We won't make the same mistake twice on this one. Wrong platen. I think, based on that size, 11 by 15, that's close by, will work just fine. It's not that big of a hoodie. Sometimes I like to, if I can, opt for the bigger of the platens, just so I can see more of the shirt, more of the garment that's on there, so I can keep it straight. I think we want to go on the front on this one. So what I'm going to do, because I may have problems, and I'll show you here in a minute, I can rotate this design, this platen, either landscape or this may be a problem. I may have to go to 8 by 10. Let me see. Because of the pouch or the pocket in the front, oh no, we'll be able to slide on there. We're good. We want to avoid that, and of course the seams here and the seams there. This looks like it was custom made with us in mind. I like it. Straight. Do a quick preheat. That's also checking my pressure so I don't have a design on there in advance, because as again we changed platens, so I'm going to adjust the pressure. More of the platen is hitting the lower platen, so I can pick up more pressure, like where that's at, one little turn. 2-color design, gold glitter with a burgundy or maroon outline. Of course, we're going to put the outline down first. Not about of course, but that's the way I'm doing it. Straight is optional. This time we're just going to give it a little something something. See if I can release that. What makes that is not the material, it's the carrier, because it's such a hot release, such a hot peel. Minimizes the distortion because I'm not picking up on, just don't have that attachment to the fabric that's going to stretch it. Now that was just a little bit, so we have to make sure that we hit it for the full dwell time when we do this.
Bob, I have a question.
Somebody has a question. Let me go pull this out so I can get on top of it and see. What's the question while we're doing this?
You stated all the platens are interchangeable. When I go into the website, I can't select the 6x20 platen for my Hotronix auto-clam.
Okay. So I lied to you. She says, or he says, this person says that all the I said the platens were interchangeable, but when they try to get a 6x20 leg and sleeve platen for the auto-clam, it's not available. We're looking out for you. I don't have one here to show you, but the reason we do that, even if you're using the caddy for the threadability, the bottom of plate of that press is like 8 to 10 inches wide, and it would make it very difficult to actually utilize the leg and sleeve on that. So where the Fusion, which will, once we get to press this, we'll be able to take the shirt off here. The Fusion has a very smaller, much smaller area there when it comes to the threadability portion of it. So that is correct. That's one of the few, if not the only one, that can't be used with the auto-clam, is the leg and sleeve. Sorry, you'll have to buy a Fusion. All right, putting that back in. I see a little bit of hint of something here. We're going to chase that down a little bit. All right. I have exposed goods. I'm going to give that a quick cover. Swing away. And press. Are we having fun yet? Everybody's having fun. Jody's having fun. Joe wants to sit down. Red hot peel. Two-color glitter logo, just like that. Some people will actually apply glitter on glitter. Our wash test has not shown it to be very durable. Over the long term, it could separate. So too much texture for the adhesive to adhere to. So we like to do what we just did there, which is trap one design inside of the other. But the value of this versus what you spent a little more for the glitter, you can get a lot more out of the finished product because it pops. What else do we have that's fun? Okay, I have flock, cool little heart design, and some kind of little heart design on a, looks like 100% cotton, very lightweight hoodie from Boxercraft. And I believe we're going to do a little trim on this one on the back side. Will this one work for me? Probably. But I'm going to make it easier on myself. Pull it out so I can get at it. If I pull this out now. Rotate it this way because I think that will fit. Whoo, just fits. So I'm going to do the back first. This is going to be on the bottom hem on the back, just a little cutesy. So a lot of the things as far as printing more is sometimes just location. Not necessarily your basic left chest, full back, full front. And get crazy and put something on the sleeve, but doing something out of the ordinary. Your customers know what they want, listen to them, and try to oblige them as long as you have the tools to do it. Fashions change. Old people like me have to keep up. Pushing that all the way in. I'm going to readjust because when I did the movement, it did slide a little bit on me. There we go. It's because I caught the hood in the mechanism. There we go. We're going to keep this just off of the lower hem. It's kind of difficult for me at this angle to see if I'm straight, so I'm going to slide off to the side a little bit and take a look at it. Getting the seam on the just off to the edge. Now straightening it up. Make sure we're centered on the platen. Now, if you had a laser alignment system, boy, would this be a lot faster. Put that line on there one time, especially if I have volume. If I only have one of these, I won't fool with it. I won't bother setting up the laser. But if I have multiple of these to do, and I want to make sure that they're set straight, and as long as I put the shirt on there straight every time, utilizing that seam, now a laser line across there, hitting across all the points of that zigzag line there, would be huge for us. Now this is flock. 320 is good pressure, good time, but I believe this is a cold peel. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put the left chest design on while this is still cooling. We'll save some time. I should be able to use the same platen with no problems. This time sliding it all the way up, centering it. Again, another V-neck. Hardly any thickness to this at all. So if I really wanted to go in here, I still don't believe I have any problem at all. There's hardly any weight to this fabric at all. So I'm probably going to do that because I don't think the left chest logo will be too good down here on that deep of a V. I want to put this right up in here. Looks good to me. We've got a few more apparel items to do, but we do also have some accessories and some non-wearables I definitely want to get into to show you the versatility of this. Cold peel, Bobby, pay attention. We'll take care of this back one now. This should be cooled enough to actually peel. And it is. Very lightweight fabric here, very cuddly, very soft. Therefore, a nice soft material like the flock is a good way to go. You're doing things like flannel, and especially in the boxer craft line, the flock is an awesome way to go. Flock's a kind of an overlooked media, even though it's been around as long or longer than most of our products. It's still it can be very effective in a lot of different designs. Very subtle, just more of an embellishment on a shirt, not necessarily advertising anyone, but it's more in a fashion type of statement. And we're moving on. I'm going to fast forward through some of the apparel because I think I really want to get into some of the non-wearables. Here's something very simple. Not sure what I lost there. I hope it wasn't important. A very affordable but very popular way for fundraisers, nice add-on sales, a simple canvas bag. This is just a cotton canvas bag, not even very canvassy at all, but a very lightweight tote bag. By itself, it's boring. With the right design on it, people are using it for fundraisers and for just simple advertising for their organization or school or business, whatever the case may be. The fabric or the material that I have here, again, is another printable foil tech design. Because it's going at a lower temp, 320 is going to be a little hot. So I'm going to take the platen from here and move back over to the Air Fusion. I choose 11 by 15 because I think it fits this bag perfectly. If it doesn't, we'll get a different bag, different platen. That's a concern, getting rid of those straps, making sure that the lower seam is not there. It's actually a perfect fit. I like actually using the largest as possible here because it helps me line it up and make sure that I've pretty much filled that bag up with platen so I can't put it on there crooked. Now, contrary to apparel, this is now right side up. So I really don't need to reverse my design as I have been. It'll be upside down. So always be aware of your surroundings and or at least your garment and which direction it's orientated. All right, that is pretty good. I'm looking at the distance here to here, not how the mask would, or the carrier would have been, or the mask had been cut, because that can throw you off. If necessary, if you're not going to use a laser alignment system, you can actually measure now with a ruler from here to here, making sure you're close. If you're off of 1/8 of an inch, no one's going to catch you on that. I'm going to cover that because this mask actually will shrivel up. It's the solutions type of mask. Low temp is good. 10 seconds is overkill, but it won't kill us. Alrighty, let that pop up. Swings away. We do have a question on the floor. What is the question?
What do you do if you don't have the different platens?
If you don't, so the question was, what do you do if you don't have the different platens? A couple options. One is what we mentioned earlier, which is called a print perfect pad. Again, it's that same rubber pad that's on these platens, the same virgin silicone rubber, 3/8 thick. It comes in different sizes and shapes, pretty much duplicating or close to duplicating the platens that we have. Of course, this is a specialty shoe platen, which we're going to get into in a little bit. So I would insert that inside the shirt to raise up past the image area, to raise up just the image area and get away from the zippers and seams and buckles and things like that. One other option, which is my least favorite, but still functional, in some situations, if it's a lighter, maybe a hoodie, and you still want to be able to see the whole thing, I can actually insert what we call a Teflon pillow. And a Teflon pillow is nothing more than a Teflon or a non-stick type of fabric covering a foam, like a 1/2 inch thick foam rubber. What that does, instead of raising up the image area, it actually buries in the extra thickness into the pad, or I'm sorry, into the pillow. So now I've got even pressure throughout. The danger of that is I get a false reading on my, or a skewed reading at least, on my pressure. So I want to make sure that I get a good even pressure, because it's actually going to deflate the air out of that pillow. So making sure that you've got a good firm pressure on that can be tricky. You may have to pump it up just a little bit. Even though it feels very thick, as you lock it down, it kind of deflates a little bit. Those are the two options. Sometimes you can hang it right off the edge of the press, or whatever the case may be, but those are few and far between. Peel this one off here. We took our good old time on this one, so the adhesive has actually cooled a little bit, so it's going to pull a little bit harder, or no problem. Going to cover that. Now I'm using a craft sheet on this. With a lot of these print logos, if you use a Teflon sheet, it can actually shine it up a little bit. The craft sheet's actually going to help it maintain its at least satin finish, or a little more dull. No extra charge for that bit of advice. And right on cue, the air compressor kicks on. Full color design on a very affordable tote bag has just taken this to become a perceived value of much, much higher. I can actually charge quite a bit for something because I've got a customized logo on a very affordable tote bag. So can be used for a number of things, and just more than anything, like all of your customers do, they just want to get their brand, get their name, get their message out there. Whether it's a business, a school, an organization, you name it. All right, let's have some more fun. I've got an umbrella. I don't need a special umbrella platen for this. I'm not even going to open the umbrella, but I do need to find out what happened to the logo. I found it. We're going to take this half-court Summer Jam basketball tournament logo, put it on the white portion of this because it looks the best there. The blue wouldn't look bad, but I like the contrast onto the white. I have an empty press here. This applies at, well, this is a foil tech, so it can go with pretty much any temp. We're going to go ahead and put it on the same air press that we're using now.
Bob, I have 2 questions.
I'm going to switch out to a 6x10. We have a couple questions. What do you got while I'm changing?
Do you use a craft sheet several times, or can it only be used one time?
Question was, can the craft sheet be used multiple times, or is it a one-time use only? No, you can use it many times. It's not indefinite. It's siliconized. Eventually, the silicone that's embedded into that craft sheet can eventually dissipate. So after a while, the ends will start curling up. It'll get scarred up with different types of adhesive and things like that. Then you'll toss it, but you get multiple uses out of that. Now the Teflon sheet, that is kind of what, I don't want to say indefinite, but as long as you take care of it, keep it nice and flat and keep it clean, it can last as long as you like. But the craft sheets are very affordable. They come like 25 in a pack for like less than $10 or something like that. It's very affordable, so having them on hand is a nice way. I like it as opposed to the Teflon sheet just because of the sheen issue. I'm just sliding this. Now I'm taking advantage of the fact that I've got a seam right down the center. That's going to help me center on that V of this. I'm just going to let it hang. All the ribs are away. There's no seams in the way. I'm centered on my platen. And it's going to take my logo, center it up, and apply. You don't have to have a huge, now you could go bigger. This happens to be the design that we have, but you could go anything that stays within the confines of that that space in that vein of that section of the umbrella. Better cover that. Again, I'm covering because this particular mask, solutions mask, it will actually curl up on you. So you want to make sure that you cover just so that you don't expose that image. We're set at 10 seconds now. If I decide that, you know what, I'm tired of that, I don't want to change anything, I can simply go to the tack mode. Tack mode is on. Now, as long as I hold the buttons, it's going to stay down. So now the control freak in me is very happy because I can hold this down and I'm in control.
There's one more question.
It'll lift up. And now, because I don't have because I did that, I'll have to utilize the foot pedal to swing it away. We do have another question while I peel this and press the second. What's the question?
Question is, can you get a print perfect pad in custom sizes?
Can you get a print perfect pad in custom sizes? You can. You buy the biggest one you have and you cut it up. That's all we have available for you. There are a number of sizes out there. You can see them online, different sizes and shapes, but there are some larger ones too, and I've done this myself many times where I need something very thin, little tight place on a bag or on a left chest logo that I need a very small design. I'll just cut a little slice of it off. They're fairly affordable, and you'll end up making your own customized pads. The platens, however, are customizable. You can actually customize a platen. We've done it many different times for different companies. Because there are a lot of different specifics. There have been glove companies that we've made like fingers out the sides that look a lot like the koozie platen that we have available now. In fact, it was probably where the inspiration came from. But we can customize this for you. Decorated umbrella, very affordable. You can pick these up for $1 or $2, and now that they're decorated, they've become worth a lot more, much higher value. I'm not going to open that because my grandma yells at me when I do that in the house. So it's not just t-shirts, it's not just sweatshirts, it's not just apparel. We can do a lot of non-wearables. Let's get to, let's do these shoes. Now these aren't, or they are shoes, but they're not the classic shoes that lace up, but we're going to do these sandals. And doing these straps on here, these happen to be the bride's shoes that she's going to wear during the bridal dance. Those of you from Southwest PA know what that's about. So she's going to wear these after she's done, with all the pictures, and she wants to be comfortable. So we're going to lay these designs on each strap here. It says bride on one side, and it has the date of May 14th, 2015. Gosh, I missed the wedding. All right, what we're going to utilize here is actually a shoe platen. This is the shoe platen. Locks in like the rest of them do. I'm not even going to bother totally locking that one in. I'm going to take the designs off just so we don't lose them. I'm going to load that shoe. Let's see this side here. We always want to go to the outside because nobody can read the inside. All we're trying to do is get away from anything that is not a strap. So I can lay that on here. What I could do is just tighten that up a little bit. Get to where I want it to be. There It wants to fall naturally there, so that's probably what I'll go with. I'll probably load the other shoe first before I get to the other portion. Now, if this is a full-size shoe, same situation. Your designs are small. You're going to just apply just to the flattest area that you can find by sliding that shoe on. Let that naturally rest so we look like the other one. They look very similar to me. We're about the same place on both platens. Now I'm just going to go ahead and lay the image on. This goes on this side. Of course, you want to make sure that your image is over top of the platen, so I'm going to slide just a little bit further. This is a longer design than the other one. You have to have pressure or it's not going to go and do anything for you. Wear bride. I got them backwards. I'm working upside down. It's okay. Most of my life I've been backwards. Trick is I caught it. There we go. I like it. I'm not even going to cover this. Maybe I will. You probably should use flex pad on these two. Normal shoes you definitely do. This happens to be like a canvas, not even a canvas, probably like a 600 denier polyester on those, I believe. But just for even distribution, and so just so you get in the habit of doing regular shoes, you don't want to scar or especially with leather shoes, they can actually, you can take the oils out of it, they can get shined up. We'll see what happens here as far as pressure. I got nothing. Still got nothing. I got something. I want more. I think I'm good. Done on the air fusion, it would adjust accordingly regardless. If I tell it 60 psi, it will apply the proper pressure regardless. Here it's kind of more manual. But I also get to listen to that beep, which is cool. That comes off. Press out of the way. Just flies right off. That was the fashion film, I believe, that was put on there. So it flies off very hot, very quickly. Customized bridal slippers. Beautiful. Since we're doing weird things, let's go to the hat. Now, we'll start with a standard version of the cap. We're actually going to put crazy enough, we're actually going to put a design right on the cap, right where I think it belongs. First thing we do when you do a cap, first of all you have to have a cap press because they have to be a curved manual here. There are no attachments for the flat presses because this is the part that matters, which is the curved heat. Going to get rid of that cardboard that came with it inside. I'm going to fold down this extra layer. On this cap press and all the Hotronix made cap presses, there's a tension lever here. Make sure that this is up. That's going to grab the back of the cap and make sure that this is snapped. This is a snapback, or if it's a fitted cap, you don't have to worry about that. But you're going to use that. It's going to help with your pressure. Now I used a 2 3/4 by 6.5 platen here because I knew my design was fairly small. That's going to help keep any of the extras. This is a full buckram hat here. In other words, buckram is that extra backing in the back of that hat that can actually put a crease in here if I'm not careful. So I center it up, get it tight up against there with this out of the way. I'm going to lock that lever down. That just snugged everything up. Very similar to those of you who are embroidering and put that, use that cap hoop, that cylindrical thing that locks it in, keeps everything from flagging. I don't have a lot of space here. I like it. Find my design. This is the hip hop dance. Center my logo. Before I do that, I'm just going to lock this down, make sure that I have good pressure, and then I'm lined up where I want it to be. It says it's a 6. I'm going to tighten it up. Now the difference, and the reason I'm going more pressure is I've got this 6-panel, I got this seam on a 6-panel cap, and I want to make sure that that's not going to give me problems on the edges. So I want to again bury that into that rubber portion of the pad a little bit. But the adjustment on a cap press is actually different than it is on all the other presses. You're actually raising up the lower platen to give the closer pressure rather than dropping the top down. Center as best as possible, keeping it up from the bottom just like you do in embroidery. You don't want to get too close to that visor. I'm just going to lock it down. Auto release, of course I stand here with my hand on it like I'm going to control it. It scares me, I just want to hold it down. I lift up gently. And it flies right off. And that is designed, you can actually see the twill texture in that material, giving it like it was just kind of born that way. Now we've got a couple other applications. Taking it off, release the lever, take it off. In my day, that's ready to ship, but no, not today. We're going to do more. We're going to put a logo on the top of this cap, and we're going to put a logo on the under visor too. This has been very popular here as of late. So we have a special platen just for that. Some of you may have seen this. We'll go ahead and take off the shoe platen and put the underbill platen on. Looks like a ninja throwing star on steroids. Push it all the way back. And it loads just like that. Way cool. Now, my generation makes a rain gutter out of the front of their visors. This generation keeps those flat. The flatter the better. You do not bend the visor. Difficult for me to grasp, but it's the way it is. Design cut specifically for this. Wow, how did you do that? Well, somebody took their time to make sure that they got the right arc on this design that matches up to the visor. Not sure about my pressure, so what I'm going to do, because we just changed everything, and this only happens when you change platens. We're doing the extreme here by changing every platen that we make practically on this machine, so you won't have this every time. I want you to think that you have to do this with everything. So, okay, I like where that is. Talk about flat visors. We just helped it along. Design's on. Now we can press. Fashion film peels red hot, flies off of there. There's the crew logo on the underside of the visor. Now we actually want one on the top too. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of that. In some cases, because if this is a licensed type of thing, you're going to want to put that back on, because that's a lot of folks do not want that to be missing. Now, for me to put this little logo here that's still representing Cat & Company Dance Studio, Hip Hop Dance Studio, I want to put this off here, probably off to the side like that. Well, I'm not, this isn't going to work. So, tricky thing we'll do here is actually turn the cap inside out. So the same process applies. Sometimes you can wear it like that if it's a rally cap. You baseball lovers will understand that. And I'm going to put my logo just where I want it, off-centered, so that we have room for that other sticker that was on there. I'm going to hold this one up until I lock it down. Don't concern myself with what's on the other side. It's the same temperature that we hit before. Multiple presses are not a problem with a lot of the materials that we have available. Again, that buried itself in nicely to that. Pop the hat back together the way it came. We've got front, top, under visor, all done at one time. Put back on their license tag. Ready for retail. What else do we have that's fun? Let's go a little more traditional. A simple messenger bag, another big seller. Not too many places to decorate here that are effective, but the most important and the most obvious is going to be right here. Again, zippers in the way, plastic clips, all sorts of things. So we need a platen that's going to actually insert in here when I open this up, where there happens to be this lovely logo inside. Got to lose the under visor cap platen. And that looks like a candidate for the 6x10. 6x10 is getting a workout here today. Kind of just going to help you make some decisions as you decide what platens you're going to add. That seems to be a pretty popular item, at least today. Locking it in, always making sure that it's actually going to work. If not, then we'd have to go to a print perfect pad, but no, that works pretty well. I'll pull it down just to keep me nice and straight. So that seam is right on the edge of the platen, and then just slide it off a little bit. Utilize the seams, what's on pre-existing on the garment or accessory that you're using. I'm going on the wrong press here because this should be at a lower temperature, but I'm crazy. It's a forgiving material, I'm not that crazy. This happens to be one of the solutions, or I believe this is actually the Tech product. Yeah, probably the Tech Opaque. I'm going to center that right in that logo, that design. In this case, we put a white outline around this. People say, well, I don't like the white outline around my design. Well, the colors needed it. If I put those colors on this black bag, it wouldn't show up. All right, I'm going to cover that. What I will do, because I'm using a little bit, I'm getting crazy again, because I'm using a little bit too hot a temperature, I actually will use the flex pad on this. It's going to absorb a little of that heat and not add the extra time to it. Sneaky. Alrighty. Maybe I did need the extra time. Cookies aren't done. Negative Ghostbuster. Get in there. Perhaps pressure is the issue. It also may be, and I'm guessing it is because I never did it on one of these designs. It may be the temp is so hot they actually need to let it cool a little bit, that actually let that adhesive gel up and actually adhere. But we'll see. Or sometimes you just get a coating on a bag that just won't take anything. I'm going to let that cool just a little bit. Can speed things up by taking the hem of a little bit of a shirt, something to absorb some of the heat. There we go. My guess is it was the extra heat. I needed a little extra time for that adhesive to set. So you can do sneaky things, but you have to compensate. I don't recommend defying some of the application instructions. You'll know with some of the media, you'll know the limitations or how far you can push some of them. A lot of people that when they're running 380 degrees, 365 degrees on one thing and they need to go 300 on the other, they'll try to split the difference. Sometimes it just doesn't work. You have to stay within the parameters of the application instructions. All right. Full color logo, messenger bag, just increase the value of that one as well. Zip it up, ship it off. All right, we're going to run close on time. What I'm going to do is show you, maybe not press everything. This is a neoprene bag. So the thing with neoprene is that it tends to bleed. The dye migration on these polyester, especially neoprene, whether it be black or red, the dye migration comes through some of the designs. What we had scheduled for here is a metallic design. That metallic design naturally blocks the dye migration. We do have media called subless stop for the same principle that will block that dye migration for full color. So in this case, we're using that. While we've got it here, let's just throw it on. I think this particular platen will work. I'll give it a spin. Get rid of the extras. Make sure there's no weird things in there. Let's take this opportunity to take any other questions before we're getting ready to wrap this up. My logo, my top of my bag is here. This fits like perfectly, so if it's crooked now, it's because I didn't put it on straight. It wasn't because the bag wasn't on straight. Do the kind of a top center. And we'll cover it with a standard sheet. Don't know about the pressure. We'll gauge that as we go. Back it down a little bit. Solutions mask does that for you. Peels right up. That's normally a 2-second hit. I cheated because it's never going to be washed. I used 10 seconds and pressed it one time. It's not going anywhere, especially on the neoprene. It just grabs that stuff. So your little iPad case, your tablet case, decorated now with a nice full color logo. Couldn't do it much other way. Had I put this on a standard press, the extra thickness of this would have been a real problem. It would have been very inconsistent as far as giving even pressure. All right, we're going to wrap this up. We're getting just about, our time is just about up. I do want to talk about a couple of other items. Shut that bad boy off. Sometimes printing more with your heat press is just doing a little bit of a mixed media, and this is a very simple design. This was a screen printed transfer from Transfer Express, and it has a bit of a glitter effect to it here. But if you really want that dramatic pop, the only way to get that dramatic pop out of this grease production is to use the glitter flake. So we simply took the transfer, pressed it, and then came back over next door to it and put the glitter flake on. Not a problem as far as heating this a second time. This applies at a much higher temperature than this. Always make sure you're pressing your hottest design first and then pressing the cooler one secondly. You won't affect the image on that you've pressed previously. Okay, and another situation here where we had another very abstract screen printed type of transfer, but we wanted to really pop visibility wise. This happens to be reflective material. Only way to get a real true reflective is using the CAD cut material, using the 3M reflective on this over top of the ink, no problem. So we've got a nice mixed media. Think, I don't want to overuse the term outside the box, but you really do want to expand your horizons of what all you can do. Let your customers tell you. Maybe make them, and sometimes you have to suggest to them. Hang these samples, show them what you can do, knowing that you're equipped well with a good Hotronix heat press and multiple platens available to you. All right, I'm going to switch back over to a wide view here. If darn thing works, there we go, I'm back. All right, we're going to spend just a little bit of our time here at the very end. You've seen all of these different types of designs. Hopefully this has helped, all the different types of objects. We didn't even get through all of them, but you kind of got the idea. I mean, there's still a leg and sleeve platen for your yoga pants, and down the sleeve of a long sleeve shirt, etc. can be done, and of course different sizes as well. There's a 7-inch round and a 8x10 that we didn't touch. Those are about the only, we didn't miss too many platens here today. But having a heat press that will actually accept all those, and the Fusion version is kind of what we call, it's like a Swiss Army press. It has just so versatile. It gives you a lot of opportunity for full threadability and the programmability up on the screen to give you the ability to do all those different items that we saw here today. And there's a lot more, and I'm sure you could come up with a lot more that you could do as well. I want to leave you with this. There's an opportunity to pick up a package. We have a couple packages when it comes to the Fusion. It's called the Fusion Print More package for both the Fusion and the Air Fusion. And those are on your screen now. You can take a look at those. In there, in that package, of course, the heat press itself is at the current price that we sell it at. We never discount the heat press itself. But all the accessories, these are the most commonly purchased items, whether it be the 6x10, the leg and sleeve, the shoe, all the different pillows and cover sheets, and I can't remember everything that's in there, but you have that in front of you to take a look at. Both the Fusion and the Air Fusion have the ability to have those print more packages. So yeah, take advantage of those. You can give us a call. We can send you out. I mean, that is the quote. We can send you a formal quote. You can go over everything right now. Nice opportunity to pretty much handle everything that you can do with the heat press, whether it be your day-to-day product or whether it be all of the different accessory items that we showed here today. If you have no other questions, I'm going to bid you a good afternoon and come back again. Next up, do we know what's next up?
Next class is tomorrow. It's with Josh Ellsworth on top challenges of startup decorators and how to solve them.
Okay, Startup Decorators, Top Challenges by Josh. He kind of knows what he's talking about, so I'll tune in and see what he's got to say. He may have done this once or twice before. I appreciate your attendance, appreciate your time. Thanks for letting us into your life today. Tune in again, and we hope to see you. Thanks.